So that's one of the weirdest things we've ever done, and I'm so proud of it.
I didn't know there'd be so many wet elements to the whole thing, so it was a complete surprise.
I knew there would be.
Yes. Anyways, that was every time I've done your show. I don't know how many times. Well,
we've done a bunch of YouTube videos together, and then you've
Forest Hills State of Mind.
Forest Hills State of Mind was the first one about how I grew up in Forest Hills. Then I asked you to name 20 white people. You couldn't do it.
Yes.
Then
I would have wanted to say the name 20 white people. Okay, so let me explain that. So I was first he gave me the challenge to name 6 Asian actors in, I don't know, 30 seconds or something. So I did it. It was kind of hard when you're just like on the spot like that. And then when he said, and then next one, name 20 white people, I was, because I thought it was going to be something real and I couldn't do it. But now I understand when he goes up to, like the clip from your promos where you went up to someone and you just said, name a woman. Yeah. And she's just like, this is so hard. But I kind of understand that now that I couldn't name 20 white people.
Yeah, it's like a social experiment. It's
Yes.
a fancy way of putting it.
So,
you are the only... I've done more videos with you than any other single person, and I love you.
I'm honored.
Yes, thank you. I'm honored.
So, as a moderator here, let's get serious.
Yeah.
No, I thought I'd start by asking. Well, I know you were kind of a drama geek in high school. Is that right?
I was.
And you were an actual child actor too.
I was a child actor in New York. Yeah.
And what did you do as a child actor?
I didn't do that much. I did a few commercials. I had a really good singing voice when I was a kid. And I would love Broadway. Surprise. And but I really did, and I would go on theater auditions. I was always too tall to play a kid.
Problem. Yes,
yeah,
to play a kid.
Because I was a kid, I was always like 6'2", as like an obese and gay, and not very appealing to a casting director. But I did do a few things. I played John Goodman's son in a sketch on Saturday Night Live when I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was like a little glorified cameo, and they needed like a kid who looked like John Goodman. And when you're 12 years old and insecure, all you want to hear is, you look exactly like John Goodman. But I got to do that, and then I kind of stopped acting because I was a nerd, and I went to Stuyvesant, and I was going to be like a math science person.
Whoa.
And then I went to Northwestern, and I went back to theater because that's really what I wanted to do. And I took really serious acting class at Northwestern, and I was in an acting class every day for 3 years with Kristen Schaal, who some of you might know. And it was a really serious acting class. And Kristen Schaal and I literally did like Greek tragedy together, not ironically.
Roll clip on that. That would be
I
so
wish.
awesome.
I so wish someone was recording that. And we did all kinds of serious scenes together, and it's pretty funny how we ended up.
Now, you just had, first of all, Billy's show premieres tomorrow night, so let's just get that out there.
Thank you.
And there was just a big article about you in the New York Times.
I know, that was kind of crazy.
You've arrived. That's pretty awesome. But one thing that I gleaned from that was that at your bar mitzvah, you had double-themed bar mitzvah, Madonna and Phantom of the Opera. You just couldn't decide.
Yeah, so actually, if we're being accurate, the theme was Broadway meets pop music. Because I couldn't decide which one I wanted. I'm so gay. It's just tragic. And so all the kids' tables were named after pop singers that were big at the time, and all the parents' tables were named after Broadway shows.
Okay.
And my table was named Madonna, and my parents' table was named the Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
And it was also the early 90s, so like one of the tables was named Jesus Jones. I swear to God. And one of the tables was named Seal, because he had just come out.
My gosh.
I also had a life-size cardboard cutout of Madonna in like her cone bra phase on one side of the DJ booth in like a garter belt at my bar mitzvah party. And then on the other side of the DJ booth, a life-size cutout of the Phantom of the Opera, obviously.
And that picture is visible in the Forest Hills State of Mind video.
Yes.
Because you reference
I took
Madonna.
some photos from my bar mitzvah party, and we put that in the video.
If you want to see those pictures, that's where you go.
They're on YouTube.
Now, let me look into my old-fashioned... They don't have notebooks here at the Apple Store. This is the old days. Let's see. Wait, this is just a base. I didn't need a notebook to ask this, but I did have a question of, like, how did you evolve from... If you were in all these plays and everything, then you graduate college, and then... No, I first met you when you were doing your live talk show, Creation Nation.
Yeah.
And so how did you veer from, auditioning and being in plays and stuff, to having your own thing and doing this kind of talk show meets
game show
raccoon
weird
kind of thing.
Yeah. It's not the best description ever. Let's see. What did I do? Well, I got back to New York, and I was always weird. You know, like I was always an oddball, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get arrested as an actor. I couldn't get an agent or anything, and I was always picked to be funny in plays, not to improvise, but I would be cast in a funny role in a play, and I thought, where do the funny people go? So I went to Upright Citizens Brigade, and I took all the classes, and then I did not join an improv team because I didn't feel that's what I wanted to do either. Then I took this weird stand-up comedy class with me and like old ladies late at night.
Really?
It was very strange. Yeah. Just
Where was that?
It was
I'm
like in a
intrigued.
weird building on like 32nd Street and 7th Avenue, a lovely part of town. And it was very strange, but I needed a teacher to force me to write. You know, because I didn't have the discipline, and the teacher was actually really nice to me and encouraged me to keep going. So I was doing improv, I was writing, and then I came up with the idea that I wanted to do a live talk show because I really love talk shows, and that's what Creation Nation was. Creation Nation, this live talk show that I did at Ars Nova, a theater on 54th Street that does a lot of alt comedy stuff, and I did versions of it at UCB and Joe's Pub and all over town, and I took on this very celebrity-obsessed persona, as you know. You used to see the show, and sometimes you're on the show.
But I thought that was just you, actually.
Right. Well, it's like me times 10.
It's you times 10. Okay, I didn't know it was times 10.
Yeah. So
okay, now I know. Okay.
I'm not screaming constantly.
Right.
I scream most of the time, but not constantly. And then that show developed like a big cult following in New York, and I started to take the videos and put them on YouTube. And I'm condensing many years of work. And then Funny or Die got in touch with me. They started posting my Man on the Street videos. Oh, because the idea was, I'm this celebrity-obsessed guy. What if instead of just doing it on stage, I take it to the street and see what happens when I shove it in someone's face? As if the original idea was that I was going to go to my Korean dry cleaner and ask her opinion on my headshots. Because when you're a young, struggling actor in New York, headshots are everything, right? Everyone's spending an obscene amount of money on headshots. I don't know if they still do this because I'm old now. Do they still do this? Yeah, so it's the stupidest thing ever because your friend could take a photo of you and it would be fine, right? But I spent, $1,400 to have like some photographer in the West Village take photos of my weird face, which is always going to be weird no matter how much money you're spending. So I thought that would be funny to take it to my dry cleaner and ask her opinion as if it's something the world should weigh in on. And that evolved into me asking general pop culture questions to people on the street. Anyway, the videos went viral, and then I went out to Funny or Die, and I pitched them this idea, and I said, I don't know if you're doing TV shows, but I do have this idea to turn it into a weird cash cab, pop culture kind of thing, game show, and they liked it, and then we did it.
All right.
But that story, that's like literally, the first time I made a Man on the Street video was 2004, and then I got my TV show in 2011.
That's how long it takes.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
For some people.
No,
if you don't
me
look
too.
like Ashton Kutcher,
no,
it takes that long sometimes.
Exactly. Oh, no, wait. Okay, no, I don't know when you want to know the clip, but I did want to know, in the New York Times article, it mentioned that you know Joan Rivers somehow, that you met her, and she kind of mentored you a little bit. How did you first run into her?
She, when Creation Nation, when I was doing Creation Nation, I got some press for it, and it was well reviewed in the New York Times, and I guess Bravo came to see me, and we did a pilot at Bravo back in 2006. It was my first TV job, and Bravo wanted to, this is before Andy Cohen had his show, and kind of before Joan Rivers' renaissance of the past few years, I would say, and they wanted to do a show that was like The View, but prime time, and instead of Barbara Walters and 4 different kinds of women, it was Joan Rivers and 4 different types of gay guys, right?
I would watch
kind of
the
a fun
hell out
idea,
of that.
right? I'm very Bravo, and Andy Cohen was one of the guys, and I was one of the guys. I guess I was like the Joy Behar. Seriously. And then there were 2 other guys, and the pilot wasn't picked up, but Joan and I stayed really good friends, and she was really supportive. She'd come to my live shows, even for 50 people at a black box theater, the way that you would also. And, whenever I would have moments of panic, people are telling me I'm talented, but I have no health insurance and I'm broke. I don't know what to do. Joan would encourage me to keep going. And she's the greatest, and I love her.
All right.
That's it. I do.
I tweeted
That's
that.
the funniest applause.
I tweeted that we were going to do this, and so a few people. One person asked to ask you, what Meryl Streep character would you dress as for Halloween? Because we know you love Meryl Streep.
Yeah, there's an ongoing obsession on my show about Meryl Streep. What would I dress as? Probably the River Wild. I would just be in a raft with Kevin Bacon for an hour and a half.
Okay.
Whitewater rafting.
Okay.
That was a realistic role for her. She can do anything, though. Should we show a clip, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Let's show a clip.
Okay, great. Let's see. Do you want to pick or?
I don't know what they are.
Okay, great. Thanks for moderating, Rachel. Well, they told me what they are before the show. So
the lightning round.
Yeah, so this is, I believe, the lightning round from the season premiere tomorrow night. So let's take a look.
Okay.
It's a very sophisticated program.
What's your weirdest, like, someone not reacting well story? Or does everyone just react okay?
Most people react okay. A lot of people don't speak to me. They'll just keep walking. One older lady slapped me across the face once. Really hard.
Wow.
Yeah, because I asked her something involving the term blowjob, and she did not like that. And I loved it, though. I thought, good for her. She should have slapped me across the face. More people should.
Oh, now somebody asked me to ask you if you'll ever take this on the road. Like, will you go to other cities ever and do Billy on the Street? Or does it have to be New York kind of thing?
I think this particular version of the show is very New York. Obviously, we depend a lot on New York attitude and the diversity of people here. But I think it would, Conan, I did some segments for Conan. He sent me to Indianapolis to cover the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And then to Israel because I was basically following Madonna's tour around. It's a long story.
I didn't know about that.
Long story.
Okay.
But, it worked really well there, too. I don't think you can do it in L.A. You need to do it cities that have some energy, like pedestrian cities. And we'll see. We're kind of playing around with the idea, something I've never said in public before.
What?
About maybe doing some type of movie.
Ooh.
Which maybe would be like some sort of road trip of some sort. But we'll see.
That sounds good.
Maybe. We'll see. You guys like that idea?
Yes, I like that idea.
We'll see.
Now,
Do you have $10 million?
all the little, like, who comes up with all the games? How many? I know Julie Klausner writes for you.
My best
and
friend.
You got how many writers do you have? Or is it just you coming up with all this
No.
stuff?
No. I could never take the credit for that. It is not a traditional writer's room because the show, we come up, basically what happens is I hire some writers, and this year we were so lucky. When we first started the show, no one knew who the hell I was really outside of a little cult here in New York and on YouTube. My first email when I got the show was to Julie Klausner. Do you guys know Julie? She's a genius. She has a podcast called How Was Your Week? She's a redhead, and she's the funniest, smartest, quickest person I know. So Julie's been working on the show since the first season, and this year we have Jake Fogelnest.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Who's the best,
Cool.
and some guest writers. So Julie, Jake, and I, and then a couple of alternating guest writers sit around in a room for about 4 to 5 weeks before I start filming. And every day I'll come in and I'll say, all right, what the hell are we going to do this season? And we come up with the games, and everyone gets assigned certain questions or certain multiple choice questions or lightning round questions, and then I kind of oversee it and rewrite things, and I don't know, somehow I kind of go through everything, and I write a lot on my own also, and somehow we end up with the list of things we're actually going to do. And then we'll get, someone will say, oh, Rachel Dratch is willing to do the show. And I'll say, all right, what should we do with Rachel? Like, look at what we've done with her before. What can we do that's new, that's fun? And then we pitch you ideas, and you say, I don't know, okay. And thankfully, you're always very generous. And that's kind of how it works.
What about that one where the birdcage was the gift? What was that one?
So that's the one bad experience I've had with a celebrity guest on the show, which was last season. Nas, the rapper, did Billy on the Street. And it was surprising to me that he even agreed to do it. I wouldn't think it's on his radar. And I don't think it was, actually. And he came to do it, and we played a game, and we played a few games with him. We played a game called Media Mogul or Rabbi.
Oh, that was hilarious.
And I would run down a list of actual
God.
Jewish names, and he would tell me if it's, Harvey Weinstein or like the great Rebbe Menachem Schneerson, and he would tell me if it's a media mogul or a rabbi, and he was actually good at the game. And but he was just did not get me and was not prepared, I think. So whoever represents him had not fully prepared him for how I am on the show. And we give out all kinds of weird prizes. We don't give actual great prizes. And so I gave him a bird cage. And he did not like that. And he was like, I don't even have a fucking bird, man. And he was really angry. And he walked away after the game. And I was like, okay, thanks, Nas. Thanks for being here. And he was like, all right, man, I got to go. And then before he went into his car, I ran up to him and I said, hey, I just want to thank you for doing it. You know, that was fun. I actually think it's going to be funny. And he was like, yeah, man. He was like, it was weird. It was weird. And I was like, okay, Nas, have it your way. But then when that actually aired, and actually, I shouldn't say this, but I don't care. His team asked us not to air it, but I said, fuck you, prepare him better. I think it's funny, and we're going to put it on the show, and we did, and that's fine.
It is funny, because I think I heard about this.
It's so harmless.
It's funny to see
get a
his
sense
bird.
of humor.
It is funny to see his face when he gets the bird cage. He's like so disappointed.
I will say this, though, to be fair to Nas, and I'm always fair to Nas. I think his aggression was trying to be funny. You know, like, it kind of dawned on me later that maybe it was a choice that he made, like an acting choice, and maybe it wasn't the right choice, but that it was a choice, and that he's not that way.
Choices are what matter in the biz, people. Okay.
Why are you laughing? Nas made a bad choice.
Should we do the next clip?
Yeah, sure. Maybe the For a Dollar segment?
For a dollar.
So this is the For a Dollar segment from tomorrow night's season premiere. The best part of that is that I just literally before here came from doing The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And I don't think he's seen that clip yet.
I'm so bad at doing that, like, confrontational man on the street. Like, do you ever get... Like, that would make me so nervous to go up to people. Like, the guy that was like, I'm not listening to it. But, I mean, do you ever get scared for sort of, like, breaking social convention? Or is that just not even a thing for you?
When we first started doing it, I remember the very first time I shot a Man on the Street video. I remember it very vividly many years ago. We were in Washington Square Park, and a friend of mine was behind the camera, and I had to circle around the park like 10 times before I worked up the courage to talk to somebody. Because it's actually not in my nature to do that. No. Like, I can be outlandish on stage, but to actually go up to a real person, I mean, that's an insane thing to do. Now, all these years later, I could probably do anything.
Right.
I mean, I've gotten so shameless. It's pathetic. So I kind of just slip into Billy on the Street mode, and whatever happens, happens.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
It's a very deep process.
Now, what about, you've been on Parks and Rec a bunch too now?
Yes. Oh, thank you. That's so nice.
How did that come about? Did Amy just call you, or was there like a part that was right for you? Did they create that part for you? How did that all work?
Well, it's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. After Billy on the Street, which I love. But that's different. I made that for myself. Right, it's nice to be asked to do something. I don't have to do all the fucking work all the time. God damn it. But you know what happened is that I heard, I knew kind of through the grapevine, well, Rashida Jones was on Billy on the Street last year, who I love, and she's so funny, and she kind of let me in on something I didn't know, which is that the writers' room at Parks and Rec are big Billy on the Street fans, and they would watch my YouTube videos, and they were watching Billy on the Street, and Mike Shore, who created Parks and Rec with Greg Daniels and Dan Gore, we became Twitter friends, and you know what's so funny? I have all these agents and managers and all this bullshit, that you work
then you
years.
Get stuff through Twitter.
What?
Then you get jobs through Twitter.
Yes, that's not even a lie. So Mike Schur and I started a Twitter friendship, and I remember, not to talk down about anyone that represents me, because I love them and they work hard, but it's just a funny, interesting Hollywoody story, which is that I was talking to my managers. I was like, I hear I have some fans at Parks and Rec. I don't know what that means, but it would be fun for me just to go and talk to Mike Schur. And they were like, oh, yeah, well, we'll figure it out. It never happened. Fine. And then became Twitter friends with Mike Schur, and I actually sent him a DM on Twitter, and
direct
message, and I said, hey Mike, it's Billy, and I knew he was following me and like retweeting some of my jokes and stuff and retweeting my videos, so I knew he knew me, and I was like, I don't know, I know you're very busy, but I'm in LA. If you ever want to meet up, I would love to meet you guys. I'm a huge fan. And he wrote right back, and he was like, yeah, come in for a meeting like next Tuesday at 3:00. And I was like, after years of asking my people to get me this meeting. It happened on Twitter in 5 minutes. So,
Nice.
and then I met with Mike and Dan, and we sat around for 2 hours talking, and they were such fans, and I was so honored, and we just talked about everything, and Parks and Rec, and how they were developing Brooklyn Nine-Nine at the time. And then a couple of months after that, I got a DM from Mike Shore saying, "Hey, Billy, I think we have a part for you." And I was like, he was like, "Would you want to do it?" And I was like, "Let me think about it." Yes, I would love to do it. And then it happened, and they're so nice.
fun.
You know, they're so great. And then at the same time, I developed a relationship with Amy, who did that Christmas Carol Billy on the Street video. Thanks. Thank you. And Amy's actually on that same day that we shot the Christmas Carol, we shot other segments that will be on Billy on the Street this year with Amy. And so she and I developed a relationship, and then it just kind of snowballed at the same time, and it happened. And it's great. They are so nice. It's the loveliest group of people.
Hi guys, my name's
Hi.
Alyssa. I actually have a question for both of you.
Yeah.
So I am an aspiring comedian. So what advice would you give yourselves to like aspiring comedians and like yourself when you were starting out in the field?
One thing I would say, perform as much as possible, because getting in front, like, classes are great and I recommend them, but then getting up in front of the audience, you learn so much every time. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I would say is think about writing too, because like when I first started, I didn't really want to be a writer or anything, but then you learn. It took me a long time. Like that's where your power is. So you don't have to keep waiting for the phone to ring and audition and all that. So, think about what you would create yourself instead of waiting for other people to create it for you. That's my advice.
I would do porn. I would fuck everyone I see. Literally everyone in the store, everyone in this audience, because you never know. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My sister actually PA'd for your program.
Who
and
is she?
Her name is Julie, and she had a great time.
Oh,
she
good.
loved it.
The PAs rule my show. They're the hardest working PAs in show business. No kidding. I thank them every time because they're the ones who go up to the people and get the releases signed after I scream at them.
She's had some wonderful tales about it.
I'm sure.
And, I'm just wondering, like, running that whole time and screaming, does that take a toll on you by the end of the day?
Yeah, it's horrible. No, I mean, it's the greatest thing ever. It's also it's exhausting, and it's worth it. The final product, I love it. It's my baby, and people like it, and that means a lot. It's not easy. I don't want to be the guy that complains about the TV show, but it requires a lot of physical energy. It's not like doing Parks and Rec or something scripted. That's a very controlled environment, and this is what you see is what you get. We don't cast people. We don't know who I'm going to see every day. I could get, who knows what could happen, I don't know. So it's a lot, but it's also, I think, what people appreciate about the show in a way. On some level, people know how hard it is, I think.
Hi, now that you're getting more popular, what do you do when people recognize you while you're filming?
It's a nice mix. This past season was a nice mix of people who knew me and people who didn't. And if people know me and make that known and, want to take a photo or talk to me or whatever, I will totally do that, but they won't be on the show, because you need to keep it spontaneous. And, I'm on Fuse. There's a lot of people who don't know the show. So, for better or for worse, I mean, that's just, a lot of the clips are popular online, but we're in New York. I could walk up and down 23rd Street a million times in 1 hour, and the people keep refreshing themselves. There's so many people, and they're from all over the country and all over the world sometimes. So there's a lot of people here, and right now we're not having the problem where so many people know me that I can't do it. So, and if I have to go to Africa and start doing it, I said road trip movie. So we'll see.
Hi, Billy. I'm a huge fan. I was just
Thank
wondering,
you.
when you're talking to people on the street, do you ever regret the joke you make or the direction you go, or is it just all spontaneous and it kind of works that way?
Do I ever regret, like, if I said something to offend them or something?
Okay, I shouldn't say regret, but maybe thought, oh, I should have gone another
regret
direction.
everything.
No. Maybe that you should have gone another direction with it and you saw a missed opportunity.
Oh,
for
yeah.
that.
I mean, you always think to yourself, this is just about improv in general, I think. Maybe you have a different opinion that, oh, if I had only said that. Like you walk away and I'm like, I should have said this other joke. Like, why didn't I think of that a second earlier? But, I shoot so much that you just kind of have to keep going. I definitely have many regrets.
Hi, Belly.
Hi.
I discovered you through Parks and Rec, and
Oh,
I've
wow,
recently
that's
become
so cool.
obsessed. Watched a bunch of YouTube videos of you.
Thank you.
I saw one you did with a little girl, and I was wondering how that was working with kids and whether you're gonna try that out more. I'm a teacher myself, and kids say the darndest things. So
They do. They do. They really do. Which game was that? Weekend at Bernie's or Django Unchained?
it was that little girl
With
and
the squeaky voice?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
by
we-
the way, a dog took a shit in the background.
Yeah,
During
that's
that.
what happens on our show sometimes, is that I'm playing a game with this adorable little girl. The game was called Weekend at Bernie's or Django Unchained. And I played with a little girl who has no idea what these movies are. And I would read a fact about each movie, and she had to tell me whether it referred to Weekend at Bernie's or Django Unchained. And, we don't script these things. Now she's a little girl, so we had to get her parents' permission, obviously, because I would not do that. Legally, and also just, as a human, I wouldn't do that. But in the background, we didn't tell her anything. We didn't prep her at all. She just wanted to play a game, and we said, okay, great, her parents, can we do it? Great, let's do it. This game is Weekend at Bernie's or Django Unchained. And she played amazingly well. She just could pronounce things, and because she was really young. And then we're filming in Soho, and behind her, a dog is taking a huge crap on the sidewalk. And the guy's picking, and you could see it, and we tried to cut around it as much as possible, but we couldn't totally get rid of it. And of course, on YouTube, that's the thing that everyone talks about. There's this adorable girl playing this funny game, and everyone's like, I fucking love the dog is shitting in the background. And that's the world that we live in.
This is related to the question asked by the lovely young woman in the back. How do you know, this morning I was on the train with Elizabeth Olsen, and how do you know when you're
With who?
Elizabeth Olsen.
You should have gotten out.
I did, and so did she at Christopher Street. And I was like, what?
Wow. Mary,
How-
Martha, Marlene.
Yeah, I
No
know.
one
I was
saw
like, this
that.
whole train's going to turn into a cult.
Yeah.
How do you know when you're too famous to take the subway in New York?
Oh, I don't think
And
you're
how do you
ever
make
too
the
famous to
decision?
take the subway. If you're cool, you always take the subway. I haven't taken it since my show started, but I think, no, I love the subway. We were in traffic coming down here, and I said, this is so stupid. We should just be on the subway. You would get here in 10 minutes. I grew up in New York. I grew up in Forest Hills. I went to high school downtown. I know how the city works, and I think celebrities take the subway if they're cool. You know who wouldn't take the subway? A Real Housewife. You know who would? Amy Poehler. People who are cool and smart and fun. What was that? Nas would probably be driving the subway. I don't know what that means.
Hi.
Hi.
One of my favorite videos of all time is when you're leading the group of lesbians down the street.
Lesbian lightning round.
Yeah, and you pass the group of Hasidic Jews running in the opposite direction. And my question, I have two questions about that. One, where did you find the lesbians? And two, are you going to be using them again anytime soon?
Well, thank you for that important question. That is one of my favorite segments of all time. And that's a perfect example because who knew that would be so funny? And who knew, how do we find the lesbians? Well, that's a case where we have an idea in the writer's room, and I think that might have been mine because we had, based on the first season when not nearly as many people were watching the show as watch it now, but our little diehard core audience that found us somehow, we could tell people like the lightning rounds a lot. And so I thought, how do we spice up the lightning round and do little theme lightning rounds? And I don't know, me or someone else said, what about you running around with a bunch of lesbians? Right? And so for that, we couldn't just hit the street one day and spend 10 hours trying to find 5 lesbians willing to do it. So I think we went on Craigslist, and we didn't tell them what they were going to be doing. And we just said, we're looking for lesbians for a video. And they had to send me photos because I wanted a diverse array of lesbians. And I picked, and the ones that showed up, and they ran around with me. They didn't know they were going to run. That's why one of them, she doesn't run that fast. But that was kind of funny too. And they were so game and funny. And then at the very end, I'm running down the street with I'm like, lesbians, let's go, lesbians. And across from us come 30 Hasidic Jews. And we just crossed paths. And I was like, Jews, lesbians, Jews. The lesbians laughed, the Jews laughed. And you can't plan for that. That's just the New York. That's why it's the best place to shoot this show, because that's not happening in Indianapolis.
Hi, Billy. I love you.
Oh, thank you. That's so
I just
nice.
really need to know if you're going to be on Parks and Rec more.
I am. That's so nice. Thank you. I think I ended up shooting 10 episodes, and I think 4 have aired. I think, and so there'll be 6 more. We just shot the season finale, which is it's an hour long. I don't know how they're airing it in 2.5 hours. I don't know. I think it's supposed to be an hour long episode, and it's crazy. There are so many guest stars, including Michelle Obama, which they announced already, so I'm not like leaking something I'm not supposed to, and many others, and a lot of like the Parks and Rec sort of rotating, revolving characters come in and out, and it's really fun. And I got to interact with some of my favorite, like, recurring characters that I hadn't met before, like Purd. I get a little moment with Purd. Craig and Purd have a little meeting, and that was amazing. And so I'm gonna be on it more. They were just picked up for another season, which is cool. And hopefully I'll be around. I haven't heard anything official yet, but thanks. I'm glad you guys like that. It's really fun for me to do.
Hi, I'm Liz.
Hi.
My question is, what's the wildest or craziest response you've ever gotten from anybody on the street?
Well, there was the woman who slapped me across the face, but in a way, the wildest response I got, there were 2 clips. There was one from the first season, one from the second season, which completely blew my mind. One is the woman last season who insisted Denzel Washington starred as the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. And she really insisted. You guys maybe know this clip. And she stuck, and I was like, Miss, I'm a Broadway fanatic. Denzel Washington does do plays, but he would never star as the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. And she gets in my face, and she's like, I know he did. My daughter saw it. We passed by. It was over there. It was on 45th Street. And she fights with me for like a minute and a half, which is a long time, And I just adore her. And I ended up giving her the $1 anyway, just to shut her up. But she's incredible. We tried to locate her this year to bring her back, and we couldn't find her. But I love her wherever she is. And a similar clip, I have to say there's also Elena. Elena's the woman who I played Quiz in the Face with in the first episode of last season, who was on the way to the subway, and she has her Metro card, and she's like, I gotta go, but she plays the game with me. She's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life, and we bring her back this season. And which I think people know maybe because she came to the premiere we had at the Beacon last week, and I brought her out at the end. So it was like 1,500 Billy on the Street fans at the Beacon, and like Paul Rudd was there, which was great. I was there, great. Elena came out at the end after her episode airs, and she got a standing ovation. I'm not kidding. From 1,500 people at the Beacon, Elena. I ran into her on the street one day. I mean, she's my favorite person, and she plays against Lena Dunham in the second episode. And there's a cow involved on the street, and you have to see it. It's great.
Hello.
Hi.
I was wondering, I can only imagine how much amazing footage you have. What percentage do you end up using?
I don't really know what the percentage is, because I do a thing now where most people sign the release. We've gotten really good at explaining to people what this is and getting them to sign the release. But if they don't sign, we can't use it. So I've started doing a thing now where I watch all the footage. I edit the episodes with 2 editors in LA, but I'm there every second that we edit. So I watch all the footage that we get releases for, because it's too frustrating to watch a clip that I don't have a release for. I used to do it just to see what we have, and it was too painful when it was something really good and we couldn't use it because the person didn't sign. I don't know what the percentage is, but we shoot a lot. You gotta shoot a lot, and we shoot all the time. We shoot at 90 degrees in August. We shot in the polar vortex. So I don't know what the percentage is, but you shoot a lot to try to get good stuff in a variety of people and a variety of topics and a variety of games. And but it's crazy. The weather this time was really interesting because we shot with Joel McHale, and I think it was 20 degrees outside. So that was crazy. But yeah, you never know. So we just keep shooting and shooting. There's a lot of stuff that ends on the cutting room floor, but you guys see all the stuff that we like.
All right. Well.
Rachel.
I'm a fan, just like everyone here.
Thank
and
you. I'm
tomorrow,
a fan of yours. How amazing is Rachel Dratch?
Oh, come on.
Right? Seriously. Funniest person I know.
So don't forget to watch Billy's show on Fuse, as we learned.
Yes. We're all learning that on a constant, ongoing basis.
Exactly. Thank you all for coming
Thank you
tonight
guys
and for your
so
good questions.
much. Thank
and
you
your
so
fandom
much.
of Billy. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And I would love Broadway. Surprise. And, but I really did. And I would go on theater auditions. I was always too tall to
have
play
the
a
opposite
kid.
problem. Yes,
Yeah,
to play
so-
a kid. To play a kid.
Because I
okay.
was a kid, I was always like, I was
okay.
always like 6'2", as like and obese and gay and not very appealing to a casting director. But I did do a few things. I played John Goodman's son in a sketch on Saturday Night Live when I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was like a little glorified cameo, and they needed like a kid who looked like John Goodman. And when you're 12 years old and insecure, all you want to hear is, "You look exactly like John Goodman." But I got to do that, and then I kind of stopped acting because I was a nerd, and I went to Stuyvesant, and I was going to be like a math science person.
Whoa.
And then I went to North. So that's one of the weirdest things we've ever done, and I'm so proud of it.
I didn't know there'd be so many wet elements through the whole thing, so it was a complete
I
surprise.
knew there would be.
Yes. Anyways, that was every time I've done your show. I don't know how many times. Well,
We've done
The
a
White
bunch
Person,
of YouTube videos together, and
Yes.
then you've
Forest Hill State of Mind.
Forest Hill State of Mind was the first one about how I grew up in Forest Hills. Then I asked you to name 20 white people. You couldn't do it.
Yes.
Then
Which actually, that I would have wanted to say the name 20 white. Okay, so let me explain that. So, I was just first he gave me the challenge to name 6 Asian actors in I don't know 30 seconds or something. So I did it. It was kind of hard when you're just like on the spot like that. And then when he said, and then next one, name 20 white people. I was, well, because I thought it was gonna be something real, and I couldn't do it. But now I understand.
Northwestern, and I went back to theater because that's really what I wanted to do. And I took really serious acting class at Northwestern, and I was in an acting class every day for 3 years with Kristen Shaw, who some of you might know. And it was a really serious acting class, and Kristen Shaw and I literally did like Greek tragedy together, not ironically.
Roll clip on that. That
I
would
know,
be so
I wish.
awesome.
I so wish someone was recording that. And we did all kinds of serious scenes together, and it's pretty funny how we ended up.
Now, you just had, first of all, Billy's show premieres tomorrow night, so let's just get that
Thank you.
out there.
Thank you.
And there was just a big article about you in the New York Times. I
know, that was kinda
You've
crazy.
arrived. That's pretty awesome. But one
Thank
thing
you.
that I gleaned from that was that at your bar mitzvah, you had double-themed bar mitzvah, Madonna and Phantom of the Opera. You just couldn't decide.
Yeah, so actually, if we're being accurate,
Okay.
the theme was Broadway meets pop music. Because I couldn't decide which one I wanted. I'm so gay. It's just tragic. And so all the kids' tables were named after pop singers that were big at the time, and all the parents' tables were named after Broadway shows.
Okay.
And my table was named Madonna, and my parents' table was named the Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
And it was also the early 90s, so like one of the tables was named Jesus Jones. I swear to God. And one of the tables was named Seal, because he had just come out. And
my gosh.
I also had a life-size cardboard cutout of Madonna in like her cone bra phase on one side of the DJ booth in like a garter belt at my bar mitzvah.
And when he goes up to like the clip from your promos where you went up to someone and you just said name a woman,
Yeah.
and she's just like, this is so hard. But I kind of understand that now that I couldn't name 20 white people.
Yeah, it's like a social experiment. It's
Yes.
a fancy way of putting it.
So
Yeah, you are the only. I've done more videos with you than any other single person, and I love you.
I'm honored.
Yes, thank you. I'm honored.
So as the moderator here, let's get serious.
Yeah.
No, I just I thought I'd start by asking. Well, I know you were kind of a drama geek in high school. Is that
I
right?
was.
And you were an actual child actor too.
I was a child actor in New York. Yeah.
And what did you do as a child actor?
I didn't do that much. I did a few commercials. I had a really good singing voice when I was a kid. And